make you shake your heart in dismay. Hello everyone, welcome to Enigmatic Echoes. Today, let me take you into a hidden corner that most people have heard of but very few truly understand. A place where city lights cannot reach, where even dreams become mundane. Have you guessed what place it is? Yes, it's the most infamous slums on the planet. That's happening outside while you. The world is like a giant mosaic, with some pieces dazzlingly bright, others dark and dilapidated. And today I will take everyone to those darkest pieces. Where people are crammed into rooms of a few square meters, where children grow up amidst foul smells and deprivation. Not with the clear laughter we often hear. I know images might surprise you, even shock you. But I believe that to understand the value of our current lives, sometimes we need to see the heartbreaking, naked truth. Not to judge or pity, but to see that no matter where they live, everyone deserves a better life. Let's begin our journey to explore the world. Linfen, the most polluted city in China, where even breathing is a battle. Can you imagine, there's a place where just stepping outside means inhaling thick, smoky air. Turning on the tap water brings fear of poisoning, and even food can become a health hazard? Sounds like a scene from a post-apocalyptic movie, doesn't it? But no, this is reality. In a real city called Linfen in Shaanxi Province, China. Linfen is no stranger to local residents, known as China's coal capital. Just hearing that, many people can guess this place developed through coal mining industry. But the price for that development is the living environment of millions of people. I'm not exaggerating, because this is one of the most heavily polluted places in the world. To make it easier to understand, imagine this. When you open your eyes in the morning, you don't see sunlight through the window, only thick fog. Of course, this isn't real fog, but dust, smoke and exhaust from coal-burning factories operating day and night. People say standing just a few meters apart makes it hard to see each other's faces due to the dense dust. Breathing the air here is no different from passive smoking all day long. But if it were just polluted air, it might not be so terrible. In Linfen, daily water is also a nightmare. Residents must use water sources containing arsenic levels in sea. Many people have developed skin diseases, intestinal problems, and even cancer from long-term water poisoning. Walking around the city, you'll easily see scenes of black wastewater flowing on the streets, emitting such strong odors that those with weak stomachs wouldn't dare stand close. So the question arises, why do people still live there? The simple answer is they have no other choice. There are about 3 million residents in Linfen, mostly working in mining, metallurgy, and coal production industries. This is their livelihood, their only means of survival. Even knowing each breath might shorten their lifespan, they had to accept it. Because without work, there would be no food or clothing. That's heartbreaking to think about the children here, ISM. Born to grow up with smoke and dust, studying in classrooms without air purifiers. Playing by blackened canals and eating food no one can guarantee is safe. Many young people in Linfen dream of leaving their hometown to find better living places. But leaving isn't easy, because of poverty, attachment, family ties. Have you ever wondered what a day living in the world's most polluted place would be like? If you have a chance, try to learn more about Linfen. Not to judge but to understand. That behind rapid industrial development comes a very high price. And that there are people silently enduring this every day without complaint. Can you believe it? In the bustling capital of Phnom Penh, Cambodia, there exists a place where, upon stepping in, It feels as if time has stopped flowing for decades. A dilapidated housing area with cracked walls, crumbling concrete, and trees growing through the walls like in a horror movie. But it has been the roof over the heads of more than 2,500 people for decades. That is Basic, a place that seems to exist only in fairy tales no one wants to believe are real. Initially, Basic was not a temporary shelter or slum as many think. In the 1960s, it was built with the expectation of becoming a model social housing area to help low-income people have a decent place to live. A humane, progressive, and beautiful idea, but life, beauty doesn't always last. And the fate of Basic is a typical example. By 1979, after Cambodia emerged from the dark period of genocide, Basic became a refuge for thousands of refugees. The original owners all left, the houses deteriorated with and the newcomers had no choice but to live there day by day. But that temporary situation lasted for decades, turning the entire area into a haunting picture of failed urbanization. A housing area with damp walls, sinking floors, and concrete exposing steel reinforced. Moreover, on those walls, there's no new paint or tiles, but parasitic plants everywhere. Yes, you heard it right. Plants growing straight from the damp patches clinging to each peeling wall section, as if slowly swallowing the entire building. It feels like just one heavy rain or a minor earthquake, this concrete structure would collapse, burying everything inside. Yet, you know what, in that scene seemingly on the brink of collapse, there are over 2,500 people living every day. They cook, go to school, work, and nurture hope. They still hang hammocks to sleep under cracked ceilings, still set up mosquito nests beside moldy and dusty walls, simply because they have nowhere else to go. Basic, though it came, is the last refuge for many families. The story of Basic makes one reflect. Whether a construction project with good intentions, but lacking maintenance and care, is any different from a time bomb. And more heartbreakingly, that bomb is disguised as a home, where children's laughter is heard, where cramped meals are shared under big yellow lights, where an entire generation is growing up in decay no one wants to acknowledge. Basic is not just an old building. It is a symbol of forgotten hope. A testament that if a dream is not cared for, it can turn into a nightmare. Perhaps the authorities will have to find a solution soon, but until that happens, the residents of Basic continue to live on the fragile boundary between survival and collapse. Isn't it heartbreaking? Makoko, the floating city amidst trash and despair in Nigeria. Surviving precariously on a pitch black, hearing about a floating city, many might think of a dreamy place like Venice in Italy, or the beautiful coastal houses in the Maldives, right? But Makoko, a residential area near the Atlantic coast, in the heart of Lagos, Nigeria, is a completely opposite story. No sparkling lights, no melodious music. Only the sound of waves gently lapping against the dilapidated wooden house, tilted precariously on the ink-black water, thick with trash and suffocating foul odors. Makoko has no name on official maps. It is not recognized by the government as part of Lagos, even though it's home to approximately 150,000 to 250,000 people. Of course, this number hasn't been clearly verified either, simply because there's no proper population management system here. Whoever can come just builds a house and lives, built directly on the water surface. You didn't miss here. Houses built on water are real, using simple poles and some wooden planks pieced together. And that becomes a home. There are no roads, no sidewalks. If you want to go somewhere, just get on a boat and paddle. The whole area is like a loose wooden maze. Just one strong wind or heavy rain, and life could be swept away at any moment. And you know what else? The water beneath our feet, which should be the source of life, is actually the biggest threat. It's not clear blue seawater, nor is it daily domestic water. It's thick, bubbling black water, full of garbage, animal carcasses, and plenty of human waste. Every time passing by, you have to hold your nose tightly to endure it. Some of you might even have to hold your breath. But the people of Makoko still live with it, day by day, month by month, year by year, simply because they have nowhere else to go. If it were you, could you live where there's no stable electricity? Clean water only when it rains. And the toilet is anywhere. How long could you endure? I bet not even one day, right? Yet hundreds of thousands of people in Makoko have endured. Not just one day, 2 days. But their entire lives. They were born here, grew up here. Love, marry, and have children in that precarious nest. Children study in floating classrooms, play with each other on boats. And many have never seen what a clean water tap looks like. Many of you probably wonder, why don't they leave? The answer is the same as elsewhere, very simple. Because they're poor. Makoko is the final refuge for those pushed to society's margins. Migrant workers, poor fishermen, people who don't have enough money to rent housing on land. All gather here, living in a community that is both close-knit and harsh. In Makoko, you can live right next to each other, hearing greeting sounds from the neighbor, but you can also lose everything after just one storm. However, what's more noteworthy is that despite being so dilapidated, Makoko isn't entirely a picture of complete darkness. Amid poverty and tattered conditions, there are still people trying to teach. There are still diligent fishermen going out to sea to find fish for early morning. Makoko is poverty, it's precarious, it's the smell of garbage rising every hour. That's also proof of humanity. Even when they have to live amidst trash and despair, how many of us can be as resilient as them? Cubatão, the Valley of Death in the heart of Brazil. Where toxic smoke fills entire forests and children who haven't even had a chance to eat. Do you believe a place once called the industrial capital could become a land of death? With air so suffocating that even children are born with deformities. Sounds like a disaster movie script, doesn't it? But that's actually a true story. That happened right in Cubatão, a small town in São Paulo State, Brazil. Cubatão is not an unfamiliar name to Brazilian people. This place was once expected to be an economic development center, but when development doesn't come with control, the consequence is an entire land being poisoned day by day, hour by hour. People gave Cubatão a terrifying nickname, Valley of Death. And believe me, that name isn't exaggerated at all. It all started from the 1984 disaster. An oil pipeline leaked. Oil spread everywhere and then caught fire. The entire town was like submerged in a sea of fire. Nearly 200 people died in an instant. And that was just the beginning. After that horrific fire, Cubatão became the world's focus. Not because of industrial development, but because of unimaginable pollution levels. The air in Cubatão is thick with industrial smoke and dust. Every day, thousands of tons of toxic emissions, like sulfur dioxide and heavy metals, are spewed out from sky-high chimneys. Standing anywhere in the city, you can see rolling black smoke columns, hovering like clouds. But those are not cool, refreshing rain, they're deadly clouds. Even the forests on the hills around the city were burned to the ground. The withered bare trees rotted away because they couldn't withstand the toxic air. You see, if even trees cannot survive, how can humans live? The most terrible consequence of pollution is children born with birth defects. Not just 1 or 2 cases, but in large numbers. Defects in the brain, bones, all originating from the womb. Many women recounted. Throughout their pregnancy, they inhaled toxic smoke every day, drank chemically contaminated water, ate polluted food. And the children born had no choice. The people here had to sacrifice too much. Health lives just in exchange for factories emitting smoke ceaselessly. Although today the Brazilian government has made to improve the pollution situation in Cuba, but the wounds from years ago had never fully healed. The babies with defects are still there. The once lush forests are now just memories. And those who perished in the 1984 remain an everlasting, inconsolable. Garowe, the largest slum in Asia, where housing costs just $4. If I told you that, in the heart of bustling Mumbai, India, and expensive, there is a place where for just $4 a month, you can already rent accommodation. Would you believe it? Sounds like a joke, right? But that's the reality existing in Dharavi, the largest slum in Asia, where life is cheap as dirt, but expensive in another way. Dharavi is nestled between the two areas in Sion, covering over 175 hectares, a miniature city with hundreds of thousands. Here, there are no high-rise buildings or luxurious residential, but instead, corrugated iron roof, closely packed alleyways, as desolate as the Mekong, and a bustling livelihood beyond imagine. But don't think that Dharavi is all hardship. On the contrary, this place is the cradle of numerous traditional craft industries, from pottery making, rattan weaving, to synthetic leather production. The calloused hands in Dharavi still diligently produce thousands of products daily, pushing the annual up to 650 million USD. Yes, you heard that right. A slum that can generate a figure that makes many businesses to their hats is truly nothing to scoff at, is it? However, behind that vibrant exterior lie dark shadows that make everyone worry. Dharavi is not short of hidden corners, from drug abuse, prostitution, child trafficking to severely degraded infrastructure. During the rainy season, the outdated bridge almost collapses, causing the entire to be heavily flooded. Pollution spreads, diseases strike relentlessly. The story is no longer just about living cheap, but about how to survive. And precisely because of that, Dharavi becomes a strange, contrasting symbol. On one side is the extraordinary survival of people amidst poverty. On the other side is injustice and social. On one side is a place that exists, like a double-edged sword. If given the chance, we dare to live in this, with rent as low as $4 a month, in exchange for a cramped life, full of daily risks striking relentless. You step out the door and immediately encounter a handmade goods workshop. Take a few more steps into a small camp of a 3-generation family. Each person in Dharavi carries their own, and every small house here is a vivid testament to human resilience. A place that both makes us admire and makes us ponder. It is a true illustration, poor but not mean. But at the same time, it is a warning bell about inequality and the widening gap between rich and poor, becoming increasingly clear in the heart of a developing city. If you want to understand more deeply about people, about society and the true cost of a cheap life, then Dharavi is the most authentic mirror. What do you think about life in Dharavi? Don't hesitate to leave a comment. Share your feelings. Aurangzeb, Pakistan's super slum, giant with untold stories. You've just heard about Dharavi, the most famous slum in Asia. But I told you that just across the border in Pakistan, there is an even larger slum, more populous and equally complex. Would you be curious? That is Aurangzeb, a vast town, so large it startles people, with an area 30 times that of Dharavi, and a population that had reached nearly 750,000 people since 1998. So what made Aurangzeb become one of the most notable places in the world? Not only because of its scale, but also because of the harsh challenges that the people here are facing. If you think living in a slum is simply about material deprivation, then Aurangzeb reveals many more complex aspects, much more. Here, you not only have to struggle with poor living conditions, but also have to be vigilant against gangs of addiction. Dangers are always lurking at every step. That's right. If you have plans to explore Aurangabad, first, think of a way so as not to fall into the hands of those forced for safety here. It is not always guaranteed, but don't let those negative stories stop you. Aurangzeb is not merely a slum, but also a vivid testament for the intense vitality and an admirable spirit of self-reliance of the people here. In extremely difficult circumstances, they built it themselves. Drainage system, improved infrastructure, creating a land model of effort. In many places in the world can learn from. One thing not everyone knows: Aurangzeb had a community network, extremely dynamic and creative, not only endure, and gradually changing my own life. Have you ever wondered, amid seemingly insurmountable difficulties, can't get over that? What helps the people of Aurangzeb still resiliently holding on and gradually rise up? Perhaps it is the community cohesion and the spirit of mutual support. And not everywhere has it. They do not wait for support from the outside, but proactively find ways to solve their own, from building water pipelines, organizing community activities, help children and youth stay away from the temptations of social evils. In fact, when looking at Orange, you will see a picture that is both complex. On one side is the harsh reality, with challenges in security, hygiene. One side is intrinsic strength, strong will to rise. Many people might ask, can Orange be considered successful when there are still so many difficulties? Try focusing on the heart of Orange. The answer may not be simple, but at least the community here itself is proving day by day that, no matter the circumstances, people can make a difference if they know how to unite and refuse to surrender. So what do you think about Orange? Is it just a filthy and dangerous slum, or is it an epic of human perseverance and creativity? If given a chance, would you like to see the story behind the small alleys, the roofs, the situations that we have become after those small alleys, those makeshift roofs? And can you imagine that amid countless challenges, there are always glimmers of hope shining? Honestly, the stories about Orange are not just to be heard and forgotten. They make me think more about how each of us perceives poverty, community, and human resilience in life. Do you agree? Pay attention to the small things and meaningful aspects from Orange, because sometimes that is the most valuable for us. There's a place right in the heart of Nairobi, Kenya that people call Kibera, which means forest in the Nubian language. Think it. Green forest or a wild, ecological area. In reality, Kibera is the largest slum in Africa, where over 1 million people struggle daily in crooked, cramped houses and in extreme deprivation. What's special is, most residents here live illegally. The houses they live in are not built by themselves, but often belong to landlords who left long ago, leaving a poor living area with many worries. And did you know, among those millions of people, only about 20% of the population to have electricity to use, while the rest all use oil lamps, candles, and dinners in the dark are everyday occurrences. Water, the seemingly simplest thing, becomes a huge challenge. In Kibera, clean water is very scarce. Most people have to use water sources that are filthy and unsanitary. Because of this, diseases like cholera, typhoid, are always lurking, attacking these families that are already fragile. Can you imagine when drinking water is unsafe? How can community health be protected, right? But the difficult life doesn't stop there. Youth in Kibera, even, are facing a serious problem of unemployment. No jobs, no clear future. They easily fall into harmful temptation, including a type of drink called changa, a very cheap and also very toxic homemade alcohol, widely below the various cheap stimulant drugs, causing social evils to spread increasing. From there, issues like drunkenness, violence, rape, unintended abortions in girls, even young girls, all become alarming. And we cannot overlook the century's disease still silently spreading, taking away many lives, and making the pain in the community even heavier. Can you imagine when even the most basic things, like electricity, clean water, are a challenge? How can the people here escape from that vicious cycle? Every day, Kibera still breathes, still lives, but it's a life. It's not easy at all. There, people have to struggle every day, not just to survive, but also to hold on to that fragile hope for the future. You may have never heard of Kibera, or thought it was just an ordinary place, but when you look deeply into each of their stories, see it, where life is never easy. And by watching this long, surely, think you at least luckier than them, many times over, right? Hey friend, so we journey through 7 filthy slums, and the most notorious in the world, where life is truly a battle, every day. Do you feel overwhelmed or even touched by those stories? But behind those dark corners, there are always resilient people, persevering and refusing to yield. If you feel today's story is worth reflecting on, don't forget to like and share so more people. Additionally, don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any other interesting discoveries. For now, goodbye and see you again. Please subscribe to the D and Negro channel.